right. Thanks for being my guinea pig today.
Of course, happy to.
So if somebody saw you on the streets of Salem, how would they know who you are?
I think the first way people would know me is probably be as George's dad.
Yeah.
You know.
Can you elaborate on who Georgia is, even though she's been a guest before?
Yeah, so Georgia is my daughter, and she's 7 years old, and we are often seen around town in the mornings, you know, hitting the Front Street Coffee House or going to the Peabody Essex Museum.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are surprised to find out that I have a job or something outside of being a dad, because they always see me downtown, you know, with her, but it's because I've been able to flex my schedule. So I'm able to, you know, hang out with her in the morning and then just work later.
So what is it that you do that makes your schedule so flexible?
So I own a couple businesses over in Peabody. Most people don't even realize we're there, but it's an independent record label called Bridge 9 Records. That's the business I started when I was 19 and it's still going. A company called Sully's Brand. That's probably the other way people know me, because in October we'll set up our t-shirt truck down on Artist Row.
Yeah.
So people see us down there. And then a screen printing business that kind of does work for both companies and anyone else that needs t-shirts.
So the record label came first and then Sully's came second?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, so the record label started when I was in college, and shortly after putting out one record a year, I realized I needed to make more money to be able to afford to do it. So I had an opportunity to go to Fenway Park and start selling stuff outside of games.
Yeah.
And bumper stickers first, and pins, and then t-shirts. Really originally just as a ends to a means, to try and make some money and put it into the record label.
Yeah.
So it was more of like a fundraiser, but after a few years we realized that there was something to it. So
drunk Yahoo Red Sox fans with cash to burn was where the money was at.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I was growing up, I was a huge Red Sox fan, but then I discovered skateboarding. And I kind of, went away from organized sports. But shortly after I moved to Boston, when you realize that there's 38,000 people, in one square block, and they're all looking to spend money, you start to put things together and figure it out.
And that's expanded. I mean, you have stuff in Target stores now, right?
Yeah. So we're in Target. We're in like Olympia Sports. A bunch of different stores in the area.
Yeah.
So
cool. So did you grow up? Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Salem? Where do you come from originally?
No, so I'm from Central Connecticut originally.
So you were straddling that Red Sox Yankees line.
We were on the Red Sox line, thankfully. Moved to Salem actually in 2003. So I've been here, 16 years, which is crazy. I mean, I guess that's new for a Salem resident.
Yeah.
But
how did you end up in Salem? Why did you pick here?
So my first kind of real office for the record label was in Boston. It was in a basement across the street from Fenway Park and what was Yawkey Way at the time. We shared the office with a booking agency and another record label. It was kind of like a collective space, but it was too small. And one of the guys that worked there lived in Salem and had worked in an office in Shetland Park. So we, he had a daughter back, I think it was in like 2002, and didn't want to commute into Boston anymore. So, we needed to find a bigger space. We couldn't afford anything in the Boston area. So he said, hey, let's go take a look at some spaces up in Salem. So we said, all right, we'll check it out. So. And
did it occur to you at any point, because there's a studio in downtown Salem that records primarily like metal and hardcore bands, is there not?
Yeah, there is. Yep. God City.
Because Bridge 9 is primarily a hardcore label. Am I off base?
Primarily.
So there seems to be a correlation between Bridge 9 and Salem, like the kind of people, like, did you feel like you found people that you related to when you moved to Salem?
When we moved up here as kind of part of a wave of other people, that a bunch of our friends kind of all moved up or either lived here or were moving up here around the same time. God City, great studio. A bunch of my early records were recorded with Kurt before he moved to Salem. He used to be, I forget the town he was in, but we recorded a bunch of albums with him back then, and then carried over a little bit here in Salem.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's world renowned, which is pretty cool.
I've lived here for over a decade, and I think I found out about that studio like 2 years ago. I'm like, it's right there next to Steve's.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that building is.
Yeah. I mean, it used
amazing.
to be a bakery, and it's now you know it's so nondescript.
Yeah.
And I think Salem's kind of just growing up around it.
Yeah. So what are you doing to make Salem a better place?
So it's funny, when I moved to Salem, and I used to say that I kind of just, it was where I went to bed. You know, I didn't really spend much time in the city. I didn't nurture a lot of relationships in the city. You know, I would go to the same coffee shop, and I, you know, worked in Shetland Park for the first 4 or so years, but I didn't really have a lot of, like, much of a network here. When my daughter came along, I started getting more involved and started, you know, focusing on fundraising efforts for different things in Boston through my company Sully's. And we had an opportunity in a few Octobers ago when we were given the space to set up our truck to sell T-shirts. Deborah Greel, the woman that was organizing at the time, asked if I could build something to attract tourists to that side of, you know, the street, because it traditionally doesn't get as much foot traffic. So I took it upon myself to build a guillotine. So I have this, if people are listening to this and they've seen the guillotine, you know, when they're downtown, that was something that I built to kind of get people's attention. But we decided to use it as kind of like a photo opportunity, and started collecting tips and donated all the tips to Salton Saul Elementary School, because we wanted to have something where we could kind of give back. And to date, we've raised, I think, almost $3,000 from it. So
Cool.
The last few years. So that was pretty cool. Through that, we also, you know, had the opportunity to start working with Georgia to put some of our artwork on T-shirts, and we made that first T-shirt design and donated all the money from that the first year to her elementary school. And by working with her over the last year or two, you know, we've just been looking for other opportunities and other organizations in Salem that we could, you know, help benefit. You know, the first one was, I think, the YMCA. She had a lemonade stand and raised a couple $100 for them, you know, when she set up at the Peabody Essex Museum. And then most recently, we've partnered with Nagley in downtown Salem. Took one of her drawings of a rainbow. She made a rainbow pride design, and we're using that to fundraise for them, because, you know, it's a pretty cool organization, and they look like they could use, you know, any extra money that can come their way. So,
just because I'm hoping to get this out in time, can you tell people where they can pick up the Pride pins?
Yeah. So right now they're available online at Georgia's website. It's georgiamadethis.com. But if you're in downtown Salem, if you stop by Roost, they'll have her patch, sticker, and pin.
Excellent. Thanks for talking to me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
And I know the life of the entrepreneur never ends, so you can get back to work now.
I appreciate it. Thank you.